Greetings, what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the rain is kind of drizzling because summer in England is kind of lame. And the Magpie is casting, coming to you guys right now with a game that's actually already underway. I can hear some rifle bolts going on. Kind of missed the start of this game by a good 30 seconds or 40 seconds or a minute or whatever. But yes, so this is the top-rated live game from the live game lobby. So we've got spawning in the top left here, we've got J for Jett playing as the Overcommand West Forces, and spawning in the bottom right we have got CoH2 playing as the USF. Neither of these players familiar to me, so no real idea about how they're going to play or what their ability is. All I know is it was the top-rated game on the ladder, so hopefully these two players of a decent skill level to show us some pretty cool tricks and tactics and deliver us a close game. The map is going to be Fayman Approach, which I'm sure by now everybody really should be familiar with. Has been in the game since almost time immemorial. I mean, not since release, but you know, quite a long time. So yeah, looks like the initial scuffles here favouring the US player. Going to force back some Storm Pioneers, getting a decent amount of veterancy up onto his rifleman here, having shot at those elite infantry for a spell there, and even more veterancy onto this squad here, which has the 2 kills. Looks like we've got Kubelwagen, double Volksgrenadier opening here for J for Jett. No sign of that Vermax Schlepper, but we have to imagine that maybe he'll go for one more squad actually, and then go for the Vermax Schlepper. It's pretty typical of Overcommand play these days. Looks like we've got going up to 3 squads of riflemen here for CoH2, so nothing too tricksy. Let's see what commanders these boys are locking and loading with. So we've got Special Operations Doctrine, Scavenge Doctrine, and Luftwaffe Ground Forces Doctrine here for J for Jett. And I feel like basically there's really not much variety in terms of OKW commanders. I mean, you kind of, I don't know, they seem to have to take a very sort of generalized bag, and the only real option seems to be, do you take the Fortifications Doctrine guy or not? I don't know, I might be wrong on that, but it just feels like OKW don't really have a lot of variety in commanders that they can use. They're more atypical commanders. The Feuersturm Doctrine, Overwatch Doctrine, and so forth are just basically not really usable at a high level of play. So Overcommand West don't really have that much tactical depth or tactical width, I suppose, is what I'm looking for here in terms of their commanders. CoH2 here, he's rolling with what is that? That's a Cavalry Company, Armoured Company, and what are you, matey? Mechanized Company. I always forget his name. So I guess if we were going to see Mechanized Company, we may have seen it by now. I mean, you know, occasionally you see a slightly later Mechanized Company pick, but it is usually taken off the bat so that you can use that WC military truck. So we'll have to see what the players are going to do on this. Opening exchanges continuing to favour the American player, just about. But if you look at the minimap, you can see ground control in J for Jett's favour here. He's getting slightly superior resource income, 52 munition, 32 fuel respectively. That's over 27 and 17 for the allied player. This fight though, oh my god, a super risky approach to Volksgrenadiers in OK cover there, and actually somehow these Volksgrenadiers out DPSing the 2 squads of riflemen who had lost enough men on their way into the cover. That's kind of crazy, and now it's down to these rear Esh to try and hold the day, but there are other Volksgrenadiers in the hood. These Volksgrenadiers probably may want to come across and support, or else this Volksgren squad may have to fall back here. Going to complete the cap though is CoH2. What do we got over here? Kubelwagen just out doing its Kubelwagen-y things, capping as fast as it can out on the map. And that should give the Axis player here, Jay, is going to be able to finally score first blood off of CoH2's ticket total here. You can see beginning to tick down. That is the sound of the Vermax Schlepper, which is... No, wait, that is not the sound of the... That is the sound of the Kubelwagen. That is the sound of the Vermax Schlepper coming onto the field here. And we're going to see what the tech choice is going to be here for Jay. Looks like Lieutenant Tech here for CoH2. Let's see, do I like that choice on this map? I don't know. I guess I kind of do. I think this is one of those maps where you can actually make anything work, so it's kind of like... It's probably a little bit ambitious of me to try and judge his tech choice at this early juncture, to be honest. A lot of fights being taken here out in mid, pretty much even going. Maybe time for an MG34 out of the OKW player as soon as he gets this Vermax Schlepper set up. Looks like, hooray, he's actually going to be going for a Mechanized Regiment HQ, so mixing it up a little bit. And I have to say, these days, I basically am of the opinion that the Mechanized Regiment HQ Openings are superior for your Over Command West players. I just don't think that you get as much value out of the battle group at HQ as you used to. It doesn't come with medics, and it's pretty expensive to get that forward retreat point. And let's face it, the units it builds are kind of pretty meh. I mean, the light gun is, so you're really just building it for the medics. And you can see he's actually stacking up medkits here off of his Storm Pioneers already, so that's pretty cool. Kugelwagen here, overextending just a little bit, taking a touch more fire than you perhaps might want it to. It ought to be able to exfiltrate safely here. Storm Pioneers are in the hood and they're going to go for a repair. A little bit close to these rear Ash here. Remember, when Storm Pioneers are repairing, they're like turbo vulnerable, so you don't want to get them caught out. But they have got some cover here from Volksgrenadier. A couple of falling back units here, not quite sure what that's about. And it's going to be a Panzer II Lukes here. Pretty rapid Panzer II Lukes. Going to make use of the early resource advantages that he's managed to get. Incendiary comes down here. The Lieutenant is on the dodge. Volksgrenadiers do manage to GTFO just in the nick of time here. So both players maintaining reasonable unit awareness here. Nobody dropping the ball just yet, which is good. Very good for me as a caster. Very good for you as observers. Let's see. So Panzer II Luke's going to rumble onto the field now, and that ought to give J for Jett a massive amount of field control. There is just no counter right now for So Remy, and he's gone for the Lieutenant, so he's not going to be able to build the M1 anti-tank gun, and he won't have access to the Stuart either. So he's going to be kind of pushed for an answer on this. Kugelwagen does go down though. Rifle grenade even being thrown into the mix there. Panzer II Luke's going to reveal itself now, and So Remy comprehends the peril that he is in now. This Panzer II Luke's, of course, the absolute kingmaker on the field right now. Nothing can touch this little tank. Well, I mean, if he's like really bad and like throws it into his opponent's base and then goes to make a cup of tea, he could lose it. He will have to micro this unit. In fact, you know, these riflemen do have anti-vehicle rifle grenades. Boom, and there's the hit. So, I mean, already being a little bit kind of questionable on the micro here. There was no reason why he actually had to sit there and take that hit. So he's going to pull it back now. Just repair it with the Storm Pioneers. And this is all time right now that this Panzer II Lukes should have been firing. Because, like I say, there is no counter. He's just giving the American player time here. He's researching weapon racks right now. So Zooks are going to be up. And this window of, like, counter-free time that this Panzer II Lukes ought to have had access to exploit against So Remy. Gonna actually kind of be missed here on account of just a pretty sloppy rifle grenade gonna connect with the Panzer II there. So J for Jett could have done better there, and now you see the Zooks are out, so now the Panzer II actually can be, you know, can be wounded, can be hurt. So he's going to have to be a bit careful with the light tank there. Bit of a shame. Got a commander pick here coming out of the OKW player. He's going to go for the Scavenge Doctrine. This one is definitely like the most jack of all trades, I reckon, of all of the commanders available for the OKW. So we'll have to see exactly how he's going to utilize that. Looks like some Volksgrenadiers going to get interrupted mid-sandbagging here, as the American forces seek to reclaim the fuel point. In just a moment here, it should be a triple cap established for J for Jett though, which is pretty good. Here comes the Panzer II Luke's going to come in actually from a pretty sneaky angle here, catches a unit of riflemen leaving the base here, will force the fallback there, so that's nice stuff. Panzer II likely now to swing up into the northeast here, hopefully, you've got to think. Here comes an incendiary grenade, these guys are going to start burning. I have to say, actually, J for Jett kind of manhandling this right now. So Remy seems pretty flustered. Oh, possibility of a squad wipe here. Very wounded rifleman here falling back. Not quite wounded enough to die yet. Still has another pixel to give. So actually, he should be fine. Panzer II, actually, if he drives the Panzer II to about here, he could try for a shot here. Are there any Zooks nearby? The Zooks are actually here, so that's not such a bad option. Oh my goodness me, though. He is like a point blank on those rear Ash, and they get gunned down to a man. Panzer II here, drawing first blood in terms of squad wipes, and things just look really dire here for So Remy, who's just been completely caught off guard by this Panzer II. Was unable to see the Mechanized Regiment HQ deploying, and that's fair enough. You cannot always scout it, especially when it was as early as J for Jett put it down. But you have to think, if you've let your OKW opponent have that much fuel income, or have, like, you know, it was like sort of 65-35 was the sort of fuel control on the map for a good 5 or 6 minutes of the opening engagements here. And that is long enough for the OKW players to sneak out this spicy little tank. And, you know, as an allied player, you've got to be aware that this could be an option that's going to come forward. So, I don't know. I think going for Captain Tech, if you're having a harder opening, probably would have been more beneficial. I mean, the Lieutenants were good well, but I don't know. I guess I prefer the Captain in hindsight now. The benefit of hindsight so magically apparent when you're a caster like I am. I was all there, like, in the heat of the moment going, oh, you know, I don't know which tech I favour, especially on this map, you know, Lieutenant, Captain, they're both fine, but of course I wasn't actually looking at the way the game was flowing. Oh, check this geezer out. he is doing some pretty funky breakdancing. Wow. That is some... the Company of Heroes 2 engine continues to be a delight. I've been playing this game for years, and it continues to entertain. Anyway, so Rim E here with all the work to do. He has actually finally managed to grab a VP, so he's not bleeding out so fast. Looks like got the Jaeger Light infantry out in the field. Where are those boys right now? Here they are. Remember the Jaeger Lights, they can actually place the booby trap, which I think is a pretty spicy ability. Actually, Jay, not with enough munitions here. Oh my god, and the captain squad gets annihilated. This Panzer II with 17 kills, coming up for its second star of veterancy. Basically still no counters on the field. I think all of the Zooks have died. There's not enough munitions here. Soremi could be building an M180 tank gun, but he's not. In fact, Soremi is not microing. I think Soremi has gone to go and make a cup of tea in defiance and protest. There's an Ostwind. This game is over. And let this be a lesson to any of you out there criticizing Company of Heroes 2 for having too long of an average game length for, you know, to be a readily playable RTS. You can totally end games in... I mean, this should be over by, like, the 14-minute mark, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay, sure. Because I was going to say, if Soremi had literally gone to go and make a cup of tea, then, you know, this game could have gone on for another couple of minutes whilst we wait for Jett to break in and kill the base, but... looks like Soremi going to do us all the favour of disconnecting here, and he's going to leave this game. Fair enough. Got off to, you know, that was a totally reasonable game for him. Even, I would say, the very, very early game, insofar as, like, the initial engagements, those first skirmishes between, like, you know, 1-2 squads of infantry, kind of even favouring him, as you might expect for the USF. But then, Jett taking some super sweet fights. The one that stuck out in my mind was the one where he had the 2 squads of Volks tucked in behind this well, and they were assaulted across the open by 2 squads riflemen and a squad of rear Esh. And, I mean, I'm almost with Soremi. That looked like a pretty sweet maneuver that should have worked out, and we all know that at point blank the riflemen totally, you know, defeat the Volks Grenadiers. But he lost just a few too many riflemen coming across the open, and the DPS on the Volks Grenadiers was enough to mop up those USF units, and that enabled, if I crack the tack, that enabled Jett to maintain control over this area of the map, crucially this fuel point, and also getting a nice, you know, VP lead as well. That fuel advantage meant that the Panzer II Lukes could come in super early. I mean, what was that, like a 7-minute Panzer II, maybe even 6-minute 40, something like that. It felt really early anyway. You know, unluckily, in a way, you know, it's a coin flip almost, if you like, whether he went for Lieutenant or Captain. And Lieutenant was the choice, and Panzer II was the threat, and that left Soremi totally in the lurch. Goes for Zooks, but... pretty poor micro with the Zooks, I guess. I mean, just not looking after them, suffering a couple of unlucky squad wipes. The captain came out, but he also got nuked. And, I mean, after that, I mean, Soremi can build an M1 and cling into this game. If he was playing for $10,000, he might have been able to, you know, cling into this game, build an M1, desperately defend it, try and come back in this game. But if you're just on the ladder, this is a done deal. This game's over. So fair enough to Soremi. He's going to leave the game. Nicely won for Jett. Pity this game was so short, I suppose, but I will hop in and cast another here momentarily. So I guess that concludes this video. Thank you very much for watching. And this for now. Magpie842 signing out.